Welcome back, everybody, to Words with Walner, and we're here today with the incredible John Walner from Walner Law. Woohoo! And we got a guest today, Jonathan Merel from the law office of Jonathan Merel, and he is a premier family law lawyer. So we're excited to have Jonathan here today. But I do want to start out by finding out, like, how did you guys meet?
Wow. Which version do you want? No. John and I met through mutual friends years back. We also belong to the same country club. We play golf together. We go on golf trips together.
Who's a better golfer?
John.
John.
Depends on the day. Depends on the day. Depends on the day. But, we immediately hit it off. We have very common backgrounds, obviously common interests, common themes, obviously from a career and professional standpoint. I think we're both lawyers, but we're both heavily interested and invested in the business of law, not necessarily just the practice of law, along with obviously the marketing aspect of the industry. So I think we immediately kind of clicked when it came to all that, and the rest is history.
Nice. And does it ever cross over? Like, does anybody ever get in a car accident on their way to get a divorce or anything like that?
I'm sure, many times, or after their divorce.
Yeah. Maybe after their divorce. Right. So tell us more about family law, Jonathan. First start out, tell us more about the practice and what all you specialize in.
Sure. So we're, a full-service family law firm, which covers really all aspects of family law, meaning it could be a divorce, which are the majority of our cases, drafting prenups, postnups, paternity cases, custody cases. It's all intertwined, but we have 21 attorneys who strictly focus on that. Our main office is in downtown Chicago. We have 3 suburban offices. But family law is really, what everyone thinks it is. Divorce, custody, you're dealing with families, people, real issues. And, anyone could need a family law attorney at some point because people have relationships, people have children, people get married, people think about getting married, people get divorced. So we cover all of that.
What should somebody look for when they are going to hire a family law attorney?
Well, there's lots of us out there, but you want to make sure you have the right one. And what I always tell people, even when they're coming to talk to me for the first time, I say whether you're hiring me or you're hiring someone else, you want to make sure you hire someone that's not necessarily the best reputation or someone that, you heard about from someone else, but someone that you feel comfortable with and someone you connect with on a human level is crucial, I think, in family law because, we're acting as their attorney, of course, but we're also acting as like a friend, a therapist. We wear many different hats. So I think utmost importance is making sure that people are comfortable confiding in someone. They trust the lawyer that they're hiring, not necessarily just the name. You want to have a right fit so the attorney-client relationship can flourish.
There's so many, can I tell you something, Steve? And there's so many similarities between family law and personal injury law. Number one, it's personal. You're dealing with, in my case, a victim of an accident that could have been a death or severe injury or disability to a minor child or to an adult. So like in family law, you're dealing with people. Our clients are people, and they're in certain financial positions, health positions, and we talked about this in many episodes, the financial crunch that happens when someone misses work, unable to make their mortgage payments because there's severe injuries. So now we're dealing with family dynamics, just like you do in a divorce case. There could be minor children or adult-dependent children. There's always financial pressure on one of the spouse to take care of the other spouse, to take care of each other's children. Gender is no longer matter because you have men and women both equally powerful in the workforce. So we always rely on family lawyers for the following. If you have a problem like who has residential custody of the minor, who is in charge of financial support. So we always, tremendous amount of times now in our fluid society with relationships in marriage, in living together, being unmarried, we have a child who has a fractured leg. And you'll have the mother saying, he lives with me all the time, I'm his full support, I take care of him. And the father will say, I should be your client because I support these people. I support the child. He's on my insurance. I'm a Chicago fireman, and he's on my insurance. And what really is happening is when there's a divorce or the parties weren't married but they had a child together, is the father wants the money for the minor child. Sure. Money is the king. So if the child is getting $500,000, and by law in Cook County, Illinois, that has to go to a trust fund, anything over $10,000. Now the father wants to be the trustee over the minor's money so he can have access to it to buy computers, betting for the child, and support the child really off the child's money. And there's always wars between the parties when it comes to money, and we always lean on the family lawyer. So we would call Mr. Merel, like we do on so many cases. We've been intertwined with, so we become friends and colleagues. Because
They're very intertwined. They're very intertwined.
Right.
Because especially if there's, the parties weren't married or, someone has custody, like John said, or there's a support issue, when they come into large sums of money pursuant to a personal injury action, that creates major rifts, obviously, within two parents who oftentimes already have conflict. This just kind of creates a whole new issue.
What do you feel is your greatest challenge of running a family law office?
Well, there's challenges, obviously, from a legal standpoint when we're dealing with our clients and making sure we get the right outcomes. And then there's also challenges running the law firm when it comes to your employees, making sure my employees are happy. That's something that keeps me up at night all the time. Probably too neurotic about it, but I'm always making sure I do everything I can to make sure my employees are content and working where they're at, and going out of my way to make sure they have all the resources they need to succeed and be happy, and creating basically a culture in my law firm that enables people to want to come to work, which is tough to find these days. I'm a firm believer in the importance of being at the office, despite society having different viewpoints on that lately. But I think you can't replace the camaraderie and experience that you gain just by, rubbing shoulders with your colleagues on a daily basis in the office instead of, behind a computer. And, we do offer some work from home, but I really stress the importance of, being in the office, especially teaching our younger lawyers so they can obviously learn the practice of law and, get that experience. But there's different types of pressures, obviously, running the firm, and then, of course, making sure our clients are getting the outcomes that they expect.
Yeah.
Can I just bounce off of something that Jonathan said previously? When you're dealing with a family, you have no idea who the family really is. Is it the auntie, the uncle, a grandmother, a grandfather? Who is feeding my client information that I'm not aware of, that I'm always fighting? Because I'm thinking of being articulate, direct, compassionate, and professional to our clients, but then I don't know about these outside forces are influencing my clients, so I never really know sometimes what is going on. So it's always important to me to meet the family, like we talked about in previous episodes, in their house, or gather the whole family in my office. So I know who because when you represent someone personally, like in a personal injury case, you're really representing the entire family. I don't want to be redundant, but it's true. Jonathan said, clients may pick a case on who has the most 5-star reviews or who is the loudest in marketing, saying I've gotten $4 billion for my clients. But the like a doctor, accountant, lawyer, no one understands. We have the ability to fire you too. We're not getting along with you. Things aren't going well. The employees are down. They're being abused by the client. It could be the receptionist even. Many calls to the receptionist or to the paralegals or to the lawyers. They take out their frustration on us, and we do have to be respectful because we work for them. We have to give them kindness, dignity, and respect. But if sometimes we don't receive it back, it's better for my mental health. I hate being kept up at night, like Jonathan says, like Sunday's Mother's Day. I had to run back to my office. I had a client that wanted to leave the hospital. She had a shattered pelvis, hip, fractured lower back, and she wanted more pain pills. Everyone was annoying her, and she was going to leave against medical advice. And I needed the full complement of my office So I left my house, it's Mother's Day, and I went back to my office because what if I get fired myself? Because she doesn't think I'm providing the right support to her, although she was being unreasonable, incalcitrant, not helping herself. What keeps me up at night? Stress from my employees. The biggest fight sometimes is your own employees. Are they making the right bonuses? Are they being accommodated at work? Are they being appreciated? Are they making the right money? Because they all talk compared to their colleagues. So we try to make it right. We try to give them the way to grow professionally, and we've learned through coaching on what employees really want from us. So it is a struggle both with the clients and with the employees, but I love it. I love going to work every day, and I'm blessed to have such great clients. I'm blessed to have a lot of great people that work for us.
Yeah. And you'd mentioned you're sometimes a therapist, and I know you're both a therapist many of the times. And I don't know if you saw that recently that came out, I think it was yesterday, of an airline pilot that came out. Did you see that video? And she was a pilot, and she was in plain clothes. She hadn't changed into her uniform yet, but apparently just kind of ran on a rant, in the passenger area before the flight went off. And it came back later that she is in the process of a divorce. You really have to see that, because it was it brought up the whole reality of when you're going to go through a divorce, there are a lot of things going on in your head, right?
I'd love to hear what Jonathan says about the tension. Like, how do you deal with it? Because I have trouble. How do you deal with the tension of all the family members all over you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the same dynamic with personal injury law. It's just, while you get everyone coming to you as far as the whole family, and, the crisis and injury suffered is something the whole family wants to deal with, we get that too. We can only talk to one half of the family. Obviously, there's an adversarial relationship within the family. Yours is kind of everyone's on the same team. But, yeah, I mean, divorces, I think they're less taboo now than they used to be. There used to be like a negative connotation with them. But at the end of the day, divorces can go many different ways. Divorces can be a huge step in healing for people and moving on to the next step of their life. And then they could also become this horrible ordeal that, creates major friction within families and husbands and wives or any spouses. And if the family's not all on the same page and trying to do it the right way, or, someone gets caught cheating, or someone has an abuse problem or an alcohol problem or a drug problem, these kind of things can obviously lead to more emergent circumstances that cause the divorce. But if people have time to think it over and, a couple decides that staying married is not in their best interest, then I think they have more ability to get on the same page and make the divorce process something that is more of a positive thing as much as possible, instead of just completely negative.
When I've been on the golf course with you or at a social event, you get an emergency call, like the police are at my house, or the spouse is bothering you or harassing you or checking out. Like you were telling me about a woman that you represent, a high, powerful CEO, and the man was cross-examining the children, who she going out with, who she's dating, right, where's she at, stalking the doorman for questions, and you get these emergency calls. Just on your stress level, and what is the level you allow your clients to grab you at extreme after hours or hours that you have set aside for yourself personally in your stress level, and how do you diffuse the situation when it does come to you that way?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously, I feel like I'm on call 24/7 as a divorce lawyer. I give my cell phone number to all my clients. Some of them abuse it, some don't. But I mean, every hour of the day you can get a call. The police are at my door, or the police are calling, or I locked myself in a closet. My husband or wife is going crazy, or my kid's hysterical. We're hiding from our spouse. These are like the dark sides that either lead to a divorce or occur during a divorce case. And I feel like I owe it to my clients to, always be a call or text away when they're in times of crisis. They obviously are hiring me. And there's differing opinions on this. I mean, I have many colleagues of mine who refuse to give out their cell phone. There needs to be that divide between personal and professional, and people can't abuse it. But I think divorce law is different personally. I think you have to make yourself available. And if I'm able to talk to them, and obviously will do so depending on the circumstances, I think that's important for an attorney to be there for a client, especially in times of emergency.
We have this new technology now where through virtual phone numbers, we can text a client, it goes into their case, excuse me, so everyone in my office can see what's going on with this client. So when the client calls in, we say, oh, you talked to Mr. Walner on Sunday, saw that you text back and forth about your car wasn't being repaired, that you needed a rental car. So we do love, and I do give my cell phone number to everyone, all my clients, because I got into this business because I love to help people personally.
You're getting calls nonstop.
Right,
He's
but-
always picking up. This is John. What can I do?
Yeah.
He's frantic.
Yeah.
We got to do this. We got to do that. So just like I am, it's
very true.
On the golf course, you're
Yeah.
always taking calls no matter what the situation. Because, again, another similarity between family law and personal injury law is you have to be available.
And I know I shouldn't think like this, but I'm always afraid if I do not get involved personally and I do not answer my clients' calls, that I could get fired because we have the internet. They could go, best lawyer Chicago compassion, best lawyer Chicago for fractured leg, best lawyer Chicago Riverside. And if you don't cater to the clients, you could be fired instantly. Like before, it didn't happen when you worked out of the yellow pages only.
Right.
So I am cognizant if a person is calling me after midnight or they're constantly texting me after midnight, I do have to make a decision for my own health and for the health, welfare, and well-being of my employees, say, you got to find another lawyer. We
You don't want them to abuse it, of course, and just say, hey, this just popped in my head. I mean, if it's not an emergency, they should not be texting you at the wee hours of the night. Right.
But we do love it. We love dealing with people.
At the same time, we probably are sick enough that,
Right.
Some part of us enjoys it to some extent.
I do enjoy working, but I don't, like I tell my clients, there's no reason to swear at me, to abuse me. I'm on your side. I want to give you the dignity, respect, and love, and care, and compassion, and professionalism, but also don't use me as a punching bag because things are going wrong in your life. The doctor's not seeing you. Let me call the doctor's office. They promised you an MRI on Tuesday. Let me get that straightened out for you. We do go to the root cause of their problem, but it takes, I've been doing this for 35 years, so I know really what is really bothering them. But you must have this all the time in divorce. What's really bothering your client? And through handling thousands of clients, you kind of know.
I mean, you just get clients just like yours. Again, another synergy. You just get clients who are in crisis. They're not living their normal lives. Either someone they know or them have suffered a horrible accident or injury, or their mundane married life is now turned into a high conflict divorce, and their world is exploding. So that's, I think, what causes people to become so frantic and neurotic is because they're going through something that they normally have not
mentally,
gone through.
For sure. So, Jonathan, how did you decide to go into family law?
I was graduating college. I decided to go to law school because I didn't know what else to do. And my first summer after law school, I started looking for a job to law clerk. And a connection of mine was a family law attorney. I started law clerking at his firm and immediately liked it. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew nothing about divorce or family law. I'm like, oh, this could be interesting, and it's probably not boring or dull. And I definitely could never have been like a transactional attorney or a tax attorney. Like, I need some sort of stimulation and excitement to keep me going. So I started in family law. I immediately embraced it. I like the human-to-human contact. I like going through, dealing with families, helping children, getting people through very difficult times. And the issues are real issues. So the more I learned, the more I did it, the more I liked it. And, after law school, I started working at a different law firm. And 7 years later, started my own practice.
Cool.
Yeah.
First,
So
I want
tell
to
me about-
can I
go
give a
ahead.
big shout
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
to my son, Anthony William Walner, that graduated law school, May
Yes.
12th.
Yeah, Tony.
He went
Way
to
to go, Tony.
Congratulations.
He graduated Northwestern Law School, and we're all, I'm head over heels excited. He doesn't want to come into the personal injury practice because while he was at Northwestern, he worked in the legal clinics, and he loved helping other people, whether it was women in Malawi or recent immigrants that came in that they needed to be placed, or families that ignored their children, abused their children, and the court intervened, and he was representing them as a guardian ad litem in front of the judge to what is the best place for their children to be, what environment.
How cool.
Yeah, so I was talking to Jonathan about my son, and he said, maybe your son would be interested in the family law. And I talked to Tony, he says, you know what, I love that. And he met with Jonathan at his office, and Jonathan said, why don't you come back one day and see what it's really like to be a family lawyer? Shadow me and shadow other attorneys in my office. So Tony came into the office of Jonathan Merel and followed them in court and depositions and mediations, but most importantly, what he loved, and you never know what a prospective employee is going to love, he loved listening to Jonathan on the phone, talking to his clients and seeing what the average day is really like. And then he took the time out of his day. As you heard, he has 21 lawyers, like on a full floor of Tupru. And he took the lawyers out to lunch, and Tony loved meeting the other lawyers in his office, because forget about what the boss says about his firm, and he would grill them about their daily life, how much writing there is. My son's he's obsessed with how much writing and motion work you have to do in the law. And so he grilled the other kids and what was their career path to get to the office of Jonathan Merel. So I thank you for your generosity.
That was great. Oh, I mean, he's such a bright kid.
I just thank you for your generosity.
And if he's watching one day, I want you to come work for me. I'd love to have you, Tony. But I know he's happy in the job he got, but he always has a spot.
We got to have him come in for a podcast.
Yeah,
there's like an interesting perspective that he has that he can share with everybody. And part of this podcast is about advice. So I'm going to ask you, and then we're going to go into a little bit more personal stuff. But just if someone was watching, what kind of advice could you give to someone who is considering getting a divorce? What is the next step that they should take? Should they have anything prepared before that they before they come to see you? I mean, how would you?
Well, they don't have to prepare things. I just tell people, and again, usually in a relationship, one spouse is usually in charge of the finances, the other perhaps takes a different role. Sometimes, obviously, people have equal roles financially, but that's obviously going to depend on the advice I give. Obviously, if it's the person who's kind of kept in the dark when it comes to the finances or just doesn't take on that role historically throughout the marriage, it's a good idea. It's not necessary, but just to start being a little more vigilant and observant of things that come in the mail. Maybe, figuring out where bank accounts are or investment accounts, where certain, where basically the money is. Yeah. Because a lot of people in relationships and marriages don't know that. So in that respect, they could prepare that way. Obviously, if you have the person on the other side, they know where all the money is. But generally, you don't have to do a ton. The first thing you should do is go and talk to a lawyer, because a lot of people are really just blind as to what the process entails. So talking to a lawyer can obviously give them an immediate base of knowledge and perspective about what lies ahead, the filing, some sort of, transition period, a separation. Obviously, if they have children, perhaps giving them advice on how to break the news to the children, talk to the children depending on their age. So there's a lot of things depending on the situation, but the more you can educate them about the process and what issues lie ahead, the better off they're going to be.
That's great.
I want to give the biggest advice to anyone listening. The other day, a girl was a American Red Cross worker. She got in an accident and was killed. And the father, and she left a minor child. And the father called me, and his main concern was, well, she's got a house, who's going to pay the mortgage? She's got a car, is there a note? I don't know where her accounts are. So if you're married, find out from each other, what are your accounts? Where are these accounts? Is there a safe deposit box? What is your username and password? How do I get into the accounts? Do I have life insurance? Do I have disability insurance? Tell me what you have bought for me. So this father goes, how am I going to sell the house? How am I going to get the money from the car? I said, first thing, let's just go common sense. Forget about the law. Go into her house and look through her mail, because she's going to get bills. She's going to get the 401k statement come in, the bank statements come in. And before you tell the bank that your daughter died, let's pull the money out of there. Let's not have to go to court to open a trust of a decedent's estate, like to open a decedent's estate, so you can get a court order to allow you to go to the bank to get your money. There's a lot of things that are just common sense. Find out what the heck is going on in your own house.
Right. Well, a lot of people don't do that, and that is good advice, because people, again, my experience doing this over 20 years, usually one spouse knows where everything is and the other one usually doesn't. And it is similar to a death. It's the death of a marriage, not a person. But, you know, if you need to locate assets, and again, it's not like if they don't know where everything is that, you know, my job as a lawyer is to find everything. In this day and age, it's not always as easy as checking the mail because most statements are electronic or there's cryptocurrency. I mean, there's a million different ways that your finances can be set up. But yeah, I mean, ideally, the healthiest marriages would have both parties knowing where everything is, especially in case someone passed away unexpectedly.
Right. My biggest advice, one more advice to everyone out there. Know your spouse's or your children's usernames and passwords, because that, you go, oh, I'm not going to give you my username and password. I have all this secret stuff. But if you do not give someone your username and password, there's a death. Now you're locked out of everything. You don't know where anything is. You're disabled. Where's the disability insurance? I don't know, because their username and password's locking out your loved one from seeing what is most important. You don't tell someone your username and password, you will be screwed for months and months until a court order gets some kind of technology expert to go into your computer. Don't leave you get disabled and you're supporting 3 children and a wife and you didn't tell your wife before your username and password. She is in huge financial trouble.
Yeah.
Don't be secretive. You're supporting people. You have loved ones depending on you.
Good advice. It's time for some rapid personal questions.
Oh,
And we've
Let's do it.
we've asked you before, John, but I know that they do change it, and we're going to ask you both. So I'm going to ask you, and then you're going to answer the question. So
Put all the onus on John.
real quick. What's your favorite Chicago restaurant, John?
We've done Joe's.
Joe's.
Always Joe's.
Joe's too.
Same
All right.
exact one. My favorite
We're gonna switch
restaurant
this up 'cause I don't
ever.
want-
My favorite restaurant ever is Joe's.
I don't want you guys repeating each
never-
other. All right.
ever- So this
is Jonathan.
Ever. All right. It's good to know. All right. And then what's your favorite Chicago neighborhood?
I like Bucktown.
Yeah?
Yeah. I've had a place there forever. I still have a place there. I just think the neighborhood's a great mixture of everything. I love Bucktown.
Eclectic. And
Yeah.
It's cool. It's got some good vibe. John, how about you?
I've switched to Ukrainian Village or Westtown. I love this action that is going on Division between Ashland and Western. I think and of course the Fulton Market area, but this action that's going on Division with all these new restaurants, these new high-end restaurants and retail, it is, I think Bucktown, Milwaukee and North, Damon is hot, it's awesome, but this Division Street is giving it a run for its money. And I think it's what is going on in Division every day, brand new and edgy and different. We're having new, like Ukrainian Village is one of the first areas that immigrants came into Chicagoland area, and now you're seeing a huge gentrification with young people. It's pretty hot. It's cool.
What's your favorite Chicago team?
Well, my heart's with the White Sox. Of course, I love the Bulls, Blackhawks, but I mean, tried and true, I'm a diehard White Sox fan. So.
By the way, Jonathan and I played golf with Ozzie Guillen.
Yes.
Oh, is that right?
That was a blast.
It was
That was a lot of fun.
He was very personal, very charming, and you
hilarious.
should have seen the Hispanics community that work in our club and on the golf course were following
like
him,
a
and they
guy.
ran up to him,
I
and they
bet.
were crying that they met him. It was
Yeah.
awesome. He was so kind to everyone.
Yeah,
It
he's
took the
great.
time out to know their
He
names.
seems like a really nice guy. Is he a good golfer?
Yes,
He's pretty
Because
good.
he's
Yeah.
a baseball player.
he's a good
Yeah,
golfer.
He's pretty good.
All right. And where do you get the best Chicago dog?
Does it have to be in Chicago? I like.
Well, no.
I say my
no.
personal favorite, if I could get a hot dog anywhere, is Deer Frank's in Deerfield. Their char dog is second to none, in my opinion.
And John, we've never asked you where your favorite dog
Well,
is.
I have 3 favorite places, but
Let's
number
hear 'em.
one, I'm going to talk to you. So
But you really, all right, we'll go with 3. Go.
okay, fine. I'll just name 2. When I was growing up in high school in 1977, a new place opened up where I lived in Highland Park, Illinois, called Michael's, and they, to this day, I think they have the best Polishes and dogs. They char them. It's awesome.
It's the best way, right?
But I love the atmosphere and the insanity of Wiener Circle on Clark and Wrightwood in
beat Wiener
Chicago.
Yeah.
And
I
the
love
food is
Wiener Circle.
underrated. Everyone knows about it because of the swearing and craziness, and it's like drunk late night food, but the food's amazing. It is underrated, great hot dog and fries.
That's great. All right, that good perspective from you guys. Now, last thing, we always do kind of with Words with Walner, one last word. If there's anything else you want to say, both of you, Jonathan, if you want to go first.
I've had a lot of accolades throughout my career, but being a guest on Words with Walner is probably the pinnacle.
The pinnacle.
Not just of my career, but perhaps my life. And it's an honor
Yeah.
to be here sitting next to this special guy.
That's
and
right.
I got
thank you for
Tiffany and
having
Anthony.
me.
They're both laughing. They can't take it.
I thank you for having me, Johnny.
I love that you came here. We love all, my friends. I've only brought my friends. We got Andrew Struth and Michael Pekin. And
Yes.
We've always had fun guests. And I love that he's here. We talk
great.
every day.
Yes.
But I would say, enjoy your summer. Chicago's only good for 3 months sometimes. Enjoy the lakefront, the water, the zoo, bicycling, our parks. The greatest parts of Chicago is our beauty and our resources that are available to all families. So enjoy your
Absolutely.
summer. Everyone in Chicago and all the visitors that come in from all over the world to Chicago, enjoy your summer here.
How can someone get a hold of John Walner?
312-8-million.
And Jonathan Merel?
ChicagoDivorce.com.
Excellent. All right, you guys. Well, thanks so much.
Thanks, Steve.
Been
Thank
great.
you.
Thanks for coming.
And our
Appreciate
next episode that we're going to talk about, we're going to get a little bit more into technology. We're going to talk about Tex Legal, a little bit about how technology is in your office, what you're doing. I know you both use a lot of technology in your cases, so we're going to talk about that in the next episode. But thank you all for joining and listening to Words with Walner, and we'll see you next time.